Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of our lessons on different health topics to do with women's health, general health, so on and so forth. I hope you guys are well, and thank you so much for clicking onto the video if you're joining me live. I'm Dr. Sylvia. I'm a general practitioner and health educator with Askeway Health, and I hope you're feeling well today. Thank goodness it's Friday. It's been a busy week. I don't know how yours has been, but I'm glad that we've come to this point, so at least we can kick off shoes and relax for a good weekend. So, how are things going wherever you are? Hope you're doing well. Now, today we're talking about an important topic and weight loss. There's so much commentary out there about weight loss, and I wanted to look at, when we talk about weight loss, a lot of the time it's about losing, eating healthy, it's about exercising, which are all great things, please. They're all great things. But I want to say that that is not everything there is to do with weight loss. There's a lot more to do with it. And today we're going to be looking at one aspect of weight loss, one of the things that also contributes to the challenge that many of us experience in weight loss. And I thought that by going through some of the key hormones involved, it will help to shed some light for somebody who may be experiencing challenges with losing weight. So in a moment, I'm going to be sharing my screen and bringing up a couple of images, and then we'll go through the ones that I've picked out, learn a bit about them, and learn if we can do something about them, if there's a way that we can influence to help to manage a weight loss that will be sustainable and effective. So that's what we're going to be doing today. But please don't forget to give this video a like and consider subscribing to the channel as well. So we're talking about weight loss today, and that is why I've got this graphic on here, which demonstrates this very lovely chocolate-skinned lady. And, losing weight is hard for many of us. For some people, they can add weight and shed weight quite simply, and there are different reasons. Weight loss itself is it's down to so many different components. It is quite complex, and it's much more than just saying, well, eat less and exercise more and more and more. And some people have been very frustrated because they're doing exactly that, but they're not getting the result that they want. So even though those are very vital things to be doing, there are other crucial aspects in the whole weight loss story, and one of them is your hormones. So if you are having trouble shedding excess weight, even though you've been sticking to a healthy eating plan, you've been exercising, both cardio and doing weights and all sorts of different exercises in between, you may be struggling with a hormone imbalance that is not letting you lose weight effectively. So today we're going to look at the top 5 hormones. There are many hormones, but I'm looking at the top 5 ones I think that actually impact weight loss. And so we're going to be talking about insulin, cortisol, estrogen, leptin, and ghrelin. Now, you may have heard of these. If you have heard of these hormones in the past, let me know in the comment section. And of course, if you're wondering what does insulin, I'm not diabetic, what does insulin have to do with my weight loss, let me know as well. And I would love to hear from you if you're somebody who has experienced these hormone imbalance issues in the past, okay? And you've either overcome them, or maybe you're even still struggling. Excuse me, maybe you're even still struggling with them. Please share your experience if you don't mind. Share your experience. Tell us the challenges. Maybe you've had challenges with medical professionals. Maybe you've had challenges and it's just been going on and on until you stumbled on the fact that perhaps hormones could have something to do with the challenges that you're experiencing. But wherever you are, whether you're a beginner in the weight loss journey, or if you have been losing weight for some time and you've hit a plateau and you want to know how to uncover or overcome it, then I think this live stream will really help to give you valuable information, at least insight into what's going on. So please make sure, as I said before, let me bring up my ticker, make sure you like the video and consider subscribing to the channel. And please let me know if you're watching, where you're watching from. It's always great to have people dropping in from different parts of the world. Where you're watching from, leave a comment for me down below. So we are talking about hormones, but what are they? You might have heard that term. We fling it around every so often. It's out there, but what are hormones and how important are they in this conversation? So hormones are, let's call them chemicals, chemical messengers. okay, that are produced in the body. We make them. In fact, the human body makes over 50 different types of hormones. Imagine that. They're so important because they regulate or control or facilitate several body functions. So things like your metabolism, breaking down different parts of different food types, breaking them down into forms that the body's tissues can use properly, helping to break down fats or helping to break down sugars or helping to break down proteins and so on. Their hormones are involved. Your sleep, hormones are involved. Sex drive, pregnancy, weight loss that we're talking about today, hormones are involved. Now, when it comes to weight specifically, many hormones are part of the mix and they work differently. This is how amazing the body is. They can work so differently. It's definitely more than the five that examples that I'm going to share with you today, much more than the five. But I think, let's start with these ones. Understand how they play, how they come into the mix when it comes to weight loss, and then we can look at the others. So we're going to be talking about those ones I've mentioned: insulin, cortisol, estrogen, leptin, and ghrelin. But I wanted to start with the thyroid hormone. And I wanted to mention the thyroid hormone because it also is quite responsible or quite implicated when it comes to weight loss or weight control. So let's think of the thyroid. The thyroid gland is located in your neck, as you can see from this picture. That's where your thyroid hormones are produced, and they play a big role, like I've said, in regulating metabolism and how we burn energy. Now, if you have something that's called an underactive thyroid, your body is not making enough thyroid hormone for its needs. That means that your metabolism slows down. And when your metabolism slows down, it means that you burn fewer calories. Your body cannot burn off excess calorie. It's not doing it effectively. And that contributes to gaining weight or difficulty in losing weight. So I want you to have it at the back of your mind. Now, I put this one here because having an underactive thyroid also has other health implications, not just to do with your weight, because that's how important thyroid hormones are. And so it's important that if you suspect or if you think that you've been doing your best to lose weight, you've been trying hard and hard about this weight loss and it's not working, one of the things to think about is, could you have an underactive thyroid that is not letting you burn calories effectively, and does it need to be addressed? And how would you address it? You need to request a blood test from your doctor to check your thyroid function. And if it is underactive, if you do have an underactive thyroid and not making enough thyroid hormones, then those can be replaced. Now, I've brought out thyroid because it's not one of my five, but I brought this up because it's so important, since the thyroid gland that I've just shown you also affects so many other different body functions, not just weight. And because you can treat it by providing a replacement of the hormone. So this one is one that constitutes a medical condition that is treatable, even though the others also relate to abnormal levels. But with the thyroid hormone, if it's an underactive, under-functioning or performing gland and you don't have enough of the hormone, it can be replaced. But you need to have a blood test done, speak to your doctor so they can arrange it and check what your thyroid hormone levels are doing. So let's go then to the first of the five. So the first of the five that I wanted us to look at today is the hormone insulin. And yes, you're thinking, why you're not diabetic? Why are we talking about insulin? Well, insulin is one of those really important hormones. And one of the jobs that insulin has, of course, is regulating sugar. And that's probably why the most common thing that we know insulin for. It does a lot much more than that in the body. But one of the things it does is to control metabolism. It is a hormone that is produced in the pancreas. And that's that image that you can see in purple in my image up there. Let me take off this banner so you can see this clearly. So that's that organ that you can see in purple, sort of in the upper part of your abdomen, underneath the liver, and just between the stomach and the bowel is where the pancreas lies, and it's responsible for producing insulin. So insulin controls metabolism. It removes sugar. After you've eaten, right? You eat carbohydrates or whatever, it gets into your stomach. By the time your body digests, breaks it down, it goes into your blood as sugar. And sugar is removed from the blood into the cells by insulin. And insulin does that in order to make energy available to the cells if they're doing some kind of metabolic work, or if it's too much, it will be stored for use later. Now, the problem is when you eat too much carbohydrates, your body has to make a lot of insulin to try to accommodate all that carbohydrate that you've eaten, and the body makes much more than it needs. This situation where there's too much insulin in the body can lead to something called insulin resistance. Insulin resistance. And when you have insulin resistance, it means your body, the insulin is there, but your tissues are not responding to, they're not responding to insulin and doing what they're supposed to do when insulin is present. So that means insulin cannot do its job properly. It's there, but it can't do its job properly. As a result, instead of pulling sugar away from the blood, the sugar will sit in the blood, meaning that you have blood sugar that is high all the time. It's always high. Now, having a high blood sugar is not very good. It can lead to that level of abnormal level of blood sugar can make you feel very, very tired, lack of energy, but then it also causes it causes hunger. You crave to eat more and more, and your body ends up storing the sugar as fat, which leads to weight gain. So having a problem with insulin, which comes from eating too many carbs, causing insulin resistance, leads to a situation where your body cannot properly remove excess sugar. Your body is forced to store it eventually, and that means that you put on weight. And of course, this means that the person is at an increased risk of developing type 2 diabetes. So please remember, people who are overweight or obese, they often have insulin resistance, and that means it's difficult for them to lose weight. Just the fact that you constantly have this high blood sugar, you get into that vicious cycle. Because the blood sugar is high, you're hungry, you're tired, you can't exercise, you eat more, still more blood sugar gets into your blood. It's difficult for your body to get rid of it, and the only way is just by it keeps getting stored as excess fat. And the important thing is, this can lead to diabetes, but before it does that, what you want to make sure is you come away from a situation where your body is insulin resistant. So if you're in the habit of eating lots of carbohydrates, like many people who are overweight are, your insulin levels are running high, causing insulin resistance to develop. What you need to do is to alter your diet. That's the answer to that situation. It's to alter your diet, and your diet needs to come away from being excessively carbohydrate or starch based, and reduce the carbohydrate content in your diet, and that should help to regulate the production of insulin and your body's tendency to store fat. So one thing to do, if you find that you're overweight and the problem is with insulin resistance, which is what many people who are overweight have, one way to address that is to cut down the amount of carbohydrates that you're eating. The other way is by regular exercise, because exercise actually helps your cells, your body's tissues, to become more sensitive to insulin. So they allow insulin to do its job properly, which is to now pull this sugar away from the blood. And so you're less likely to have that high blood sugar, constant high blood sugar level that people with insulin resistance experience. So those are some of the things that you can do to tackle insulin, having an insulin imbalance that causes insulin resistance and contributes to problems with weight gain. So we're looking at, for those who are just joining us, welcome to this lesson. We're looking at the hormones that can significantly impact our weight and make it difficult for us to lose weight. We started by talking about the thyroid hormones, and we've just looked at insulin and how insulin can be a problem, and how the problem develops is by overeating carbohydrates, which leads to too much insulin that the body makes, and then that creates something called insulin resistance. And from there, you end up with high blood sugar, food cravings, tiredness, so you can't exercise, and your body stores more and more fat. And that is how that cycle continues until you break it by introducing exercise and by looking at dropping the carbohydrates in your diet. So that's the first one that we're looking at today. And the second one is cortisol. cortisol. And I hope that these graphics that we've created help to reinforce this information in your mind, because I know talk, you might just forget everything I'm saying, but I'm hoping that with the pictures, it also helps to reinforce the information in your mind. Cortisol is another hormone. This one is produced by the adrenal glands. The adrenal glands are two small structures that are above, they're just located above the kidneys towards your back. And you can see that in this picture. So this is the back, and those two yellow structures that you can see there, usually at the top of the kidneys, that's where your adrenal glands are, and that's where your cortisol is produced. The body makes cortisol in response to stress. That is why cortisol is so important. It is related to stress. It's our body is making it because it's trying to help us to deal with stress. And stress can be different types of stress that you can encounter. Sometimes it can be immediate stress. It can be long-term stress from work, for example, fear or anxiety situations. All of these things, constitute stress. Cortisol is one of those hormones that deal with it, and it's so important. The problem is that when your body makes too much cortisol, it can lead to you gaining weight. Now, why does that happen? It happens because when your body wants to react to stress, when your body thinks that, you're under stress, it will produce cortisol. And the reason it does that is because it wants your body to get more sugar, more glucose to respond to the stress. So that's what cortisol is trying to do. It makes your body create more glucose. Now, of course, the problem is when your body creates more glucose, it gives you a greater craving for sugar, high-fat foods, and increased appetite. Now, the reason your body is wanting more sugar is because it wants the energy that sugar gives to deal with the stress. But many times, we don't need the sugar to actually deal with a lot of the type of stress that we're facing. But your brain doesn't realize that. So if, for example, the stress is from constant work pressure, relationship pressure, toxic relationships that prey on your mind, and so on and so forth. Those are stressful situations. They can cause you to be in a state of high cortisol, and your body is out pumping this hormone to encourage more sugar production. But the downside is that the sugar production makes your appetite go up. You eat more, you want to eat more, you're craving the wrong type of food. At the same time, your body's metabolism also slows down. That's another effect of the cortisol, because your body is geared towards rescuing you from whatever is causing the stress. It slows down your metabolism. And this encourages your body to store fat. And with cortisol, this fat is usually around your tummy, so around your middle. And all this is from stress. Think about all these effects because of stress. Okay, so cortisol can also lead to increased insulin resistance. We've just finished talking about insulin resistance, and we've seen how that can contribute to weight gain. Cortisol contributes to that. It also contributes to inflammation, and inflammation in the body is one of those things that causes disease. We're still studying it, but we know that it contributes to a lot of different types of disease. And many times what you want is a situation where your body is not undergoing constant inflammation, because it leads to a lot of disease formation. So this combination of things that cortisol is doing in response to stress will make you gain weight or make it hard for you to lose weight. So what do you need to do? You need to recognize when you're under stress, and you need to manage it, because you need to realize that it can torpedo all the efforts you're making to remain at a healthy weight and maintain it. So you need to recognize where you are, if that's happening, and deal with the stress, either by pulling yourself out of a toxic situation, stressful work practice or habit, looking for how to manage, if you can't get out of it, how to manage or pace yourself. So things like meditation might be useful, relaxation, breathing therapy, self-care exercises, different things, taking short breaks, even if it's just a few hours that you dedicate to just looking at yourself, shutting down the phone, shutting down the computer, the laptop, the tablets, and all these things that distract us and take our time. That will help to reduce the amount of stress that you're exposed to. And believe me, this is impacting people's ability to lose weight. Okay, so this is cortisol that we've just been talking about. We're looking at different things that contribute to stress. Okay, so please don't forget about the effect of stress and cortisol when you're thinking about your weight loss journey and how to succeed. Okay, the very next one is estrogen. Estrogen, the hormone estrogen. So I know maybe now you're switching off and thinking, oh, well, this is just a woman thing. Before you go off, guys, okay, this is not just for women. Estrogen is another hormone that has great importance when it comes to weight control. In women, it's mainly made in the ovaries, but it can also be made in other tissues like fat cells. They make estrogen. In men, it's made in the testes and it's formed from testosterone. So men also make estrogen, but of course to smaller amounts than women. So estrogen, we know it as the reproductive hormone, is important in fertility and all that, yes. But it also has a strong play when it comes to weight control. So it's involved in metabolism. It's involved in how your tissues respond to insulin. Insulin again. So estrogen is important in how your tissues respond to insulin. And estrogen is also important in how fat is shed around the body. Okay. It's a hormone where getting the right balance is so important. It's important for every type of hormone, don't get me wrong. But in particular, it's if the estrogen hormone levels are out of balance, it can cause so much problem. Did you realize that both a low and high estrogen level can lead to trouble shedding excess weight, can lead to weight gain, can lead to obesity? So it's not just about, oh, okay, if I keep my estrogen level very low, then I'll be fine. Or if I keep it very, high, I'll be fine. No, it just needs to be at the correct level, because if it's too low, problem. If it's too high, problem. It's really important for us to be clear about that. But let me tell you about what this low and high estrogen can cause indirectly, and then we'll talk about what we can do to help ourselves if our estrogen levels are not at the appropriate positions. So if you have a low estrogen level, what you might experience is you're more likely to deposit fat around your stomach in particular. Now, low estrogen, as it happens when a woman is going through her menopause or around the menopause, also contributes to problems with bone strength. So your bones are not as tough or as strong as they used to be. The density goes down. So that can happen with low estrogen. You actually accumulate more fat than when you were before menopause, when your estrogen levels were balanced. On the other hand, when estrogen is high, and this is in comparison to progesterone, so when a woman has disproportionately high estrogen compared to progesterone, that can also cause problems because it can affect her appetite, making her eat more or making you eat more. It can cause you to retain fluid, and that's retaining weight as well. And it can make you more tired, making it less likely for you to actually exercise, making it less likely for you to be motivated enough to go and be active, which can also help to lose weight. So these are the challenges that you can have when estrogen is out of balance, and why it's so important to be conscious that if you're struggling to lose weight, it may have something to do with your estrogen. So estrogen itself can be affected by many things. I've just talked about menopause. It can be affected by so many different things. So it's important that if you suspect that you're dealing with low estrogen, which you may do because there may be other signs. In women, it may be something to do with an irregular period, and you could, with that, speak to your doctor about your estrogen levels. But one thing that you can do, or a few things you can do by yourself to to help deal with your estrogen levels, are making sure that you're eating foods, the right types of foods. So particularly healthy fats, foods that are high in fiber, fiber-rich food, and making sure that you're exercising regularly. So yes, you can influence your estrogen level. Make sure that you're in a nice balance by the food that you eat. A diet that is high in saturated fats and processed foods does not help to balance your estrogen level. Okay, so it's really important that we're paying attention to that. Okay, guys, so I hope you're finding this useful. If you're just joining, thank you so much for watching. We are talking about the hormones that can affect weight, particularly the top hormones. There are many hormones that can affect weight. We've talked about thyroxine, talked about insulin, cortisol, and we've just finished talking about estrogen. So I hope you're finding this useful. And this is targeted particularly towards those of us that have struggled to lose weight, either by eating healthy, by exercising, and the pounds aren't shedding. Why am I struggling like this? Losing weight can be so complicated for some people. I know there are some of us that the weight just naturally drops off, but there's some people that struggle, and some of it can be as a result of hormone imbalance. And I just want to shed some light on this area just to stimulate your thinking, to make you feel, right, should I speak to somebody about my hormones? For thyroid, for example, it may mean that you need to do a blood test to see whether you have an underactive thyroid, and that might be affecting the weight. You may have other symptoms as well. It's not so in every case, but it's just something that's well worth thinking about. So this is where we've got up to at this point. If you're just joining, thank you so much for clicking on. Do please give this video a like and consider subscribing to the channel. We do live streams every Friday, and we just like talking about different things that help to broaden information about our health, help to give us almost with the information that we need to fight a healthier live a healthier life, fight a healthier battle. Okay, so we are now on the next one, which is leptin. Leptin. I don't know if you've heard of this hormone before. Let me know in the comment section if this is something that you're familiar with. But this is another one of those hormones that are important. This is a very important hormone that the body makes. I keep saying this, that the body is just a wonderful, it's just a wonderful machine. So leptin is a hormone that is involved in fat metabolism. That's his job, okay? What part of your body makes leptin? It's made by your fat cells. So wherever you have fat cells, that is where leptin is made. Leptin is also known as the satiety or satisfaction hormone because its job, the reason it's there is to tell your brain that you are satisfied, so that your appetite, your brain switches off your desire to eat more food. Isn't that a fantastic hormone for those of us that are trying to lose weight? If we could just market leptin and just drink leptin, you just need that kind of thing that just says, oh, I'm satisfied, and so you don't have to eat. So this is what leptin does. And actually, the more a person is overweight, that's the more fat you are, the more your body makes leptin. And so when you think about it, so if your body is making more leptin, why are you fat? The reason is because people, although somebody who is overweight has a high level of leptin, their brain is resistant to leptin. So there's something called leptin resistance, whereby even though there's plenty of leptin flowing around the body, however, the tissue does not respond to it. And so the opposite of what leptin's job is what happens. Instead of the brain switching off the appetite increases. And so you eat more and gain weight. And the other problem is that leptin, that hormone, and how it's produced can also be affected by stress. Remember, stress and cortisol, inflammation, and poor sleep. All these things, this is a bad combination. All of them increase cortisol. And this is because your body, cortisol makes your body less sensitive to leptin. So if this is a problem that you have, and it is, research has indicated that many people who are overweight suffer with this problem, struggle with this problem, that they have leptin, the leptin that is there, their bodies are not sensitive to it, so it's not really doing its job. So what do you need to do? Because diet and exercise play a significant part in it, these are the two main areas to target: diet, exercise, and dealing with stress, because they can help to reduce the amount of inflammation that your body is going through. They can help to reduce the amount of cortisol, and then this will help your body, your brain become more sensitive to leptin, and your appetite reduces. So let me just go over that again. What I'm saying is that somebody who is overweight may have plenty of leptin, this hormone that the fat cells produce. Normally, leptin should be telling your body to switch off, stop eating, I'm full, it's enough. But unfortunately, in people who are overweight, their bodies are not sensitive to that information. The brain doesn't react to leptin as it should. And that is usually because there's a lot of cortisol being produced in these people. So the way to counteract that is to get rid of the cortisol, reduce the cortisol. And we've talked about how we can manage that. Apart from a healthy diet and exercise, it's also about looking at making sure you're getting enough sleep, cutting down or coming away from stressful situations so that you're not chronically stressed. Yes, we all have high impact jobs. We're busy. We've got all sorts of things that we have to respond to. We're looking after kids. We're looking after family. We're dealing with all sorts of things. Some of us in toxic relationships and so on. but creating time for yourself, self-care, meditating, exercise, yoga, swimming, different things, whatever, rocks your boat. Coming away from high pressure situations, making time for yourself, those things would help to reduce the effect of cortisol, and then your brain is more sensitive to leptin, and it can work and then begin to do its proper job of switching off the appetite when it is necessary. Okay, so we've covered the 4 hormones, and we've just got one more to do. I hope you're finding this useful. Please let me know in the comment section. And if you're watching on replay, don't forget that if you've got any questions around this topic, you can send an inquiry. Use our email health information service to send your question or send your inquiry, and we can look into that for you. So we are looking at another hormone. This one is called ghrelin. Ghrelin. So this hormone called ghrelin is very much involved in weight management or weight control. Ghrelin is produced in the stomach, okay, as you can see in the diagram, in the image, the picture that I've got up now, okay. Ghrelin's only function in the body, its only function is to increase your appetite. Its only function is to make you eat more. That is what ghrelin is there for. So if you're somebody who has issues, challenges with weight, then you're probably going to think, I wish I don't have ghrelin, because that's what it's there for. It's to help to, create a situation where you're hungry and you have to eat more. Now, ghrelin can be affected by different things. Poor sleep and stress can make your levels of ghrelin go up, making you more hungry and eating more. And just think about it. When you haven't slept, you're stressed. It happens to me. I come back from work, I've had a very busy night shift, not been able to unwind, come back home, and there are a few things to address. Can't unwind, just, trying to settle down, and then try to sleep, and sleep isn't coming immediately, and then your mind is busy. Then you think, let me just have something to eat. You're not particularly hungry, just have this craving. It may be ghrelin, and it's being conscious that this could happen. That helps us to address the problem. That's why I wanted to bring this subject to the fore. So ghrelin is responsible for this. It can be, its levels can be increased by stress, not sleeping more, and it's actually also affected by certain medications. So some people are on some antidepressants, and they could increase the level of ghrelin. So if you're taking depression medication and finding that somehow you're putting on weight on this, you find that you're struggling with that, not just your mood, because mood issues, low mood, can also themselves contribute to abnormal appetites and abnormal eating pattern. But when you go on medication and then you're finding that you're gaining weight, it might be useful to think about the medication itself and speak to your practitioner. Is it something that they can change, give you an alternative medication to help to, because potentially that medication might be affecting your ghrelin levels. So paying attention to sleeping habits, your stress levels, things that get you down, as I've talked about this already, can be important to help to control your ghrelin level. And one thing that's been observed by studies is that if you eat a diet that is high in protein, it actually reduces your ghrelin level and curbs your appetite. So this is why protein-rich diet helps you keeps you full longer compared to high carbohydrate diet, which on the other hand will increase your ghrelin level. So ghrelin will make it hard to lose weight, especially if it's very high. And so what you're advised to do is, keep an eye on those things, like I've said, that could potentially increase the levels of ghrelin in your system. And you'll notice that as I've gone through these 5 top hormones, apart from thyroxine or thyroid hormones, which the solution to that, if you have an underactive thyroid, is to get a thyroid function test. And if it's low, you're started on thyroid hormones. But for the other 5 ones that I've mentioned, the solution hangs around 3 main things, okay? 3 main things. That your diet, what are you eating? And I've talked about healthy fats, I've talked about fiber, I've talked about proteins, and I've talked about cutting down carbohydrates. All of these things, you can see how from our discussion, how it can affect the hormones. The other thing is the effect of exercise. And in every single way, exercise, apart from helping to improve the function of your heart, helps to keep your muscles healthy, but it can also affect the way your tissues respond to these hormones. So that's something else that exercise does. What about stress and sleep? It is very, very clear that poor sleep, if you're sleep starved or sleep deprived, if you're under chronic stress, and it can be from different levels, your body recognizes stress as stress. Okay, so all of that, we've seen how it can push up the production of cortisol, how that can increase the production of leptin, and the problems that those things create. So it's not just about eating the right way, it's not just about exercising, it's also about, are you getting enough rest? How are you mentally and emotionally? All of those things are so important to keeping you well motivated and on the path to weight loss that is sustained, that is sustainable. So, my friends, there we are. We've talked about 5 key hormones that contribute to weight loss. Weight loss is complicated for many of us, and believe me, those are not the only hormones. There are many other things that are involved in losing weight, but I wanted to start off the discussion and let people who are thinking about why they're struggling with their weight loss, let them think about hormones as well. Speak to your practitioner. Contact me if you want to get more details about how to get started or which one could be a problem for you. We can look at it together. Go to the website www.askawayhealth.org to ask these questions, and use our email health information service, and we will respond directly to you. So, guys, I hope you found this useful. Thank you so much for joining the stream today. We published a video yesterday. I think that that one was on fallopian tube blockage. So if that's something that you're interested in, what are the causes? How is it treated? Please go and have a look at that video. It just came out yesterday. But we'll have a couple more videos coming out during the week. And then on Thursday, which is our regular video published day, and another live stream next week. Friday. So I just want to wish you a very good weekend. I hope it's restful and peaceful for you. Stay well, stay healthy, and I will see you again soon. Thank you for joining me. Bye.